All right. So I'm getting a lot of feedback and some questions from my email. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail without going crazy, and we're going to talk about what is coming next, which is answering basically some of your questions. So we have reached a point in the development of the economy where there is basically no alternative for the Federal Reserve and the multiple central banks. You've probably noticed that the vast majority of the countries around the world are increasing the rates. We have to get inflation under control. And inflation, look at it the same as a house fire or a forest fire, which the longer it goes, the harder it is going to be to put out. And there are some components of inflation that tend to be sticky. You're going to hear that word. And those are the ones that will create the longer term problems in inflation. So, to avoid that, the central banks have to take a very harsh action and put it off. And in many ways, like a forest fire, you cannot expect the firemen putting out a fire in an emergency to save on water or save on products. So the central banks are going to overshoot. They're going to go stronger than they need to because they have to be absolutely sure that it's been put out. They can't get back in there and find out that the fire's not out yet. It's actually going to be worse if they do. This means we're going to have unemployment. This means we're going to have the market behaving differently. And the economic regime moving forward is going to be different. That means that you are going to find some of your friends losing their jobs. You should prepare for that possibility yourself. And you need to be resilient. A lot of the businesses that we own and that we have in the portfolio are doing very well, and they will continue to do well even through this drought. And they are prepared for the winter that's coming. The key is not to sell everything at this point. You're going to see that there are a bunch of new items in your portfolio that have been building up. Those weird worded items are basically short positions that we have in the portfolio designed for this very moment. So in case market calamity occurs and it gets worse, it protects the value of the portfolio mainly. And these items will increase and increase in value if things get worse, which is going to give us the cash and the opportunity to buy more of the companies that are going down in price. However, the most important thing to understand is this. Regimes like the ones that are going into right now are precisely how most people get rich. And also, this is how most people in the middle class especially lose their wealth. You probably notice that there's a few people that are basically just walking around, not doing much, hanging out, and they're not really being very busy when everybody else seems to be getting rich. And people are bidding and bidding and bidding and outbidding each other to buy assets. And then things change. And then the time comes when people are doing the opposite and they're desperate to sell. And that is when those guys that were sitting around waiting are buying. You need to be the one buying now because you're going to be at one point the only one bidding for an asset, the only one bidding for a house instead of the bidding wars that were going on before. You're going to be buying assets and stocks and other things that are at a great discount. So ignore the fear, ignore the job losses, ignore the news. The prices of these products are going down temporarily. This could be 3 or 5 years, but the time to buy is going to be coming in. So how do you prepare yourself, even if, say, your portfolio is being managed by me? And you don't need to do anything in that case because I'm watching every day, and I'm watching all the things I'm telling you not to watch to make sure we're ready to make the most of this. So, what's your job? Okay, first and foremost, build a financial cushion. There's going to be a lot of pressure. One of the things that are going to happen if history repeats is that prices are not going to go down as much as everybody expects them to. When you have inflation continuing to stay up, but the economy goes down and down and down, and only a few items go down in price, and wages are not going up to match, and your income is not matching the prices. We call that stagflation. And that is basically the worst outcome we can have. But we're going straight at it. And the Federal Reserve and the central banks in their meetings made it clear in so many words that they are accepting this outcome as a high probability. But they are not going to stop until the fire is out, even if we get stagflation. So build a cushion. Number two, excel at your job. Make sure you don't get fired. Make sure you keep all your sources of income that depend on your time. So show up on time, do the extra job, work on the weekends, do everything you have to make sure you're outrunning your friends and your colleagues from that bear that's coming. That's all you have to do. Just stay resilient and stay so valuable that it is unthinkable for you to get laid off. And when this all reaches a exhaustion point, will be very difficult to determine, but we're in for a couple of rough years. Nevertheless, what your idea of cheap is needs to be revised. And that's perhaps the most important thing that you can take from this video. There's too many of you saying, oh, prices are down 20%, prices are down 25%. Forget that. Those prices that you were looking at before are not going to come back. Those were not real prices of assets. And you knew that. That regime has changed. What cheap means right now and moving forward is going to be based on different metrics, including interest rates, liquidity, return on investment, cash flow, and a bunch of concepts that were not needed in the past. Therefore, you need to reset your expectations. And also, if you're calculating your wealth based on the prices that things were at 8, 10 months ago, 6 months ago, or less even, you need to reevaluate that. So if you have any questions beyond this, reach out and I'll be happy to look at it, and good luck. Just don't forget, we're gonna have massive buying opportunities. I want you to be pumped about this. If you see a hurricane coming, you prepare, you set up, you hoard, you put resiliency, you become anti-fragile, become stronger with this. And you will have, with any spare cash you happen to be lying around when nobody else has cash, you'll be buying assets that were unthinkable before. And that is when you can go back to normal again in 3 years or so, 2 or 3 years, hopefully sooner. And the sun will come out and you'll be holding a bunch of assets that you thought you were not going to be able to afford in the past. All right. Good luck, guys.